This is The Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral.com.
Good afternoon, Tuscaloosa, Internet World, West Alabama. How we doing today on this Monday, right here, January 13th? Welcome into the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral, right here on BamaCentral.com. You're checking us out on the BamaCentral YouTube channel or your favorite podcast platform, the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon. You're going to have hopefully a lot of fun today on a Monday, talking about Alabama basketball, talking a little Alabama football. We will do a little mock draft, talking about NFL draft just a little bit. Is Tyler Booker not a first-round draft pick? That is surprising me, but seems that is the case, at least with a couple of months until the NFL draft. We will just have a lot of fun on a Monday with our friend Mason Woods. You can follow Mason Woods at MAWoods_ on the Twitter machine. He went ahead and wrote about Ty Haywood today. Ty Haywood making news, decommitting from the University of Alabama. I guess this was something we always knew was coming after he did not sign with the Crimson Tide in the early signing period and let his commitment kind of fizzle out, per se. The news becomes official today, and you can read Mason Woods' work right at BamaCentral.com. Mason, how we doing? How was the Home Depot today, sir?
It's pretty good, same old, same old. Not a whole lot happened.
What was the project of the day for your Monday?
Putting a bunch of stuff on the shelf. It's pretty typical Monday.
There we go. You can
go. Now they basically just assign me the same thing every week, so it's just the same stuff
Hey,
Monday.
man, this cart needs to go on the shelf so the people can buy it. Get over to Home Depot right here, and you can see Mason's handiwork. If you like. What is that? Next to the Target?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right, so we're in the Derek Daniel State Farm Studios. We're live from the Derek Daniel State Farm Studios, just off of McFarland Boulevard, off of past the Tiger Rock on the left, off Highway 69 North. You can find us right here and call them at 205-758-3391 for all your insurance needs. Derek and his team, Red, Reese, and Victoria, will be happy to talk you through all your insurance needs: home, life, auto insurance, renter's insurance, boater's insurance, whatever you got in the insurance realm. Derek Daniel and State Farm will take care of you. So call Derek Daniel. Like a good neighbor, Derek Daniel and State Farm is there at 205-758-3391. Call and see how much Derek can save you today. Mason Woods had a big weekend. We enjoyed the Texas and Ohio State semifinal game. Ended up being really, really close. You recall Ohio State ended up pulling it out with the 60-something yard sack fumble for Jack Sawyer. And then really for us and our listeners and viewers, Saturday, the Alabama Crimson Tide went to College Station and scraped out a 94-88 victory over the Texas A&M Aggies. Coach Nado's first career win in College Station.
I believe they overshot both of our score predictions also.
Oh, my gosh. 27 of 40 from the line for Alabama, 28 of 48 from the line for Texas A&M, 88 total free throws. Let's just start right there, Mason Woods. Your reaction to the game, and was it over officiated, or were both teams playing that aggressively?
I think it was hard for that not to be the immediate takeaway from the game when you just saw, it was foul city throughout, foul city from the referee's perspective, that is. I do think they were maybe a little frivolous with the whistle. At some point, it felt like several of these calls were just a little nitpicky. I thought for the most part, people were overreacting a little bit. I saw some people, talking about this is the worst officiating I've ever seen. And, you hear that 2 or 3 times a year, it seems like. So I don't think it was really anything overly egregious. I just thought it was an example of them maybe being a little overzealous with the whistle, which is not something all that uncommon in college basketball.
58 fouls over the 40 minutes. 58 fouls called over the 40 minutes. And it goes, almost 3 hours.
Yeah, it certainly slowed things down.
7 o'clock start. Nadowitz finishes his post game at about 10:40 or so. Absolutely brutally long night. But okay, let's go into it from the basketball side. I think Alabama knew how physical and tough it was going to be and really matched Texas A&M well. I mean, okay, you can complain about the fouls called, but I think that really you got after it in the paint. You knew it was going to be a rebounding battle, 54-46. That was really going to be your main focus going into the game, was keeping A&M off the glass, particularly on the offensive glass. Now, you did give up 23 offensive rebounds, but you got yourself 24. Second chance points were a little bit weird. Those 24 offensive rebounds for Alabama only counting for 16 second chance points, whereas A&M got 32 second chance points. So really the defense kind of fell apart really after those offensive rebounds were had. But I think Alabama played, look, you moved to 3-0. You beat Texas A&M, who is who has already gotten off. I see you right there. Who's already gotten off to a really, really good start in SEC play. Of course, Wade Taylor doesn't play. You got to give a little bit of grace and credit to Texas A&M there. They played Alabama fairly well, really well, without necessarily their best player. But for Alabama, you haven't won out there in the Nate Oates era. You knew it was going to be kind of a junky game. There are obviously things to work on. Once again, you see 68% from the free throw line, and you think, how horrible. But you see a really good three-point percentage. You heard Coach Oates after the game talking about, well, when we get the right guys shooting three-pointers, when we get Mark and Aiden and Chris Youngblood shooting the three-pointers, they're what? 4, 7, 10. They're 10 of 22 right there. 10 of 22 as a trio.
Hey, Cliff was solid from the line.
Oh, yeah, I was mean from behind the arc. Yeah, but Cliff was solid from the line. He said when we get those three guys shooting three-pointers, that's who we want. So there's,
I think there's a lot of good.
Give me your 2 or 3 positives, and then we'll ask for your 2 or 3 negatives.
Yeah, I mean the positives. You kind of touched on it there. I mean, you get Chris Youngblood kind of felt like unlocked a little bit, really the last couple games. But I thought this game going, he gets the 50% shooting, and sure, we were talking about before the show, maybe you'd like to see that get up to that 5 for 10 range or something like that, similar. But he gets the 3 for 6, and it was a good shooting night for him. And I thought being able to win just a kind of ugly game like this is something very positive to take away, because as much as I do, the team knows as much as we do. The game gets different as the season goes on. The officiating tightens up a bit in March. The pace of play changes a bit. So winning these types of games earlier in the year, I think, does nothing but kind of bolster your team for the rest of the season.
So I was really happy with it, but honestly, I found it really, really difficult to engage with over the from the living room, mostly because of the pacing.
There was no runs,
and I mean Alabama got up on them, and then A&M got really dug back in. Alabama took an 8-point lead into halftime, and A&M dug back into that. I just thought it was just, I don't know. It was a really difficult game to get into from an observation standpoint. But you got to give credit, I think, to Alabama's defense. Alabama, they go from a 1.13 in the first half for A&M, and then it's 1.15. And so you hear that and you're like, that's really, really horrible. But when you consider all the free throws that are being played right there, and you consider how you want to play, they didn't really get slowed down. Alabama didn't. How many total possessions? Where am I at right there? 75 for A&M to Alabama 74. Which, when you consider where A&M wants to play lower in the 60s, well, you did get A&M sped up enough. You didn't get into your 80s like you wanted to, but you kept them sped up enough. And then really you outshot them from. Look at the 3-point disparity: 4 of 18 for A&M to your 13 makes for Alabama. So you really just out analytic them and played just enough to you match them. Physicality speaking, really just a hard game to watch. But one, I think that you win and you move on. You say, let's get back to Coleman Coliseum.
Certainly, it's one that. you can kind of pick weird stats out from, but it's you kind of have to take a lot of things with a grain of salt just because of how strange of a game it was, like we've kind of mentioned here, with the excessive free throws, with just kind of the strange pace that it felt like it was. But yeah, you move on.
Mo D didn't seem like he played a very good game to me. Fouled out. Made a lot of. I remember. Goodness gracious, because Saturday night feels like so long ago now. I remember hollering out his name a bunch for, errors. I'm pretty sure he had the foul at the end of the half where A&M was not going to make a shot and they were shooting, and he closed out and fouled a shooter late, put him on the free throw line again. I don't know that the game was really that poorly officiated. I think that both teams were relatively just sloppy in general. The turnovers weren't that bad. Alabama 15 turnovers, which you'd like it to be under 12 or so, but 15 is not horrible. Oh yeah, 8 for A&M, so they're not turning the ball over that much, but they're shooting pretty bad. 39% on the whole, 28 of 72. Just a weird game.
It's a bit of just a strange mesh of styles here that kind of results in an ugly basketball game, I think.
Aiden was -4. That's weird with his 15 points. And Mo D, despite what I just said, was +4 in the plus-minus category. He ended up with the 2 turnovers, 5 fouls. He did have 2 assists and 4 rebounds, but nothing from the floor. 0 of 2 from the line. Mo D, come on now. We got to be making our free throws, guys. That is one of these things that's like, Coach almost insinuated that it was just a mental game, a mental issue in their head during games. Because I think it sounded like that they're making free throws and practicing them pretty continuously outside of the game. So I think that this free throw issue is kind of perplexing Coach Oates as well.
Yeah, I don't even know how you would go about fixing that. I don't know enough about basketball, to be honest with you. I'm stumped with this issue. It's certainly frustrating though, and I'm sure Nate Oates is just as frustrated as we are, just as frustrated as any fan is, likely just as frustrated as the team is. The ones that are really good at free throw shooting, your Mark Sears and your Chris Youngbloods and people like that. Man, I don't know. That's obviously the defensive performance was lackluster a bit, but again, you mentioned it was such a weird kind of game with the pacing, with all the fouls and everything. So you kind of have to take it with a grain of salt. The free throws is certainly a glaring issue, maybe to take with this game moving forward. Still something that we're a bit concerned with this team. I think we have maybe seen them begin to address a little bit the issues of allowing teams that they really. I don't not necessarily address the issue of playing hard for the full game. I thought this game they played pretty hard the full length of the game. It seemed like it was just a sloppy game from start to finish. I thought the effort was there. Seems like I think again if they just kind of clean up the sloppy play, they fix the one thing. Now something else has slacked off. If they can get everything together, this is just a really really good team.
All right, so you get to 3-0 in league play, and that's big. Auburn goes with South Carolina.
Brutal for Auburn.
Nick Pringle misses free throws at the end. I mean, come on, you didn't really think that Nick Pringle was going to make those free throws, did you?
Could be season-altering injury for Janai Broome.
Could be big old ankle injury. I really hope it's not that big of a deal.
I do too. It certainly did not look great.
Yeah, but Auburn ekes it out.
Yeah.
Ole Miss is undefeated as well. So now 3 teams are 2-0, 3-0. 3-0. 3 teams are 3-0. Excuse me. 3 teams are 3-0 in league play. And you have Alabama and Ole Miss on Tuesday. Ole Miss, we're looking at them. That's going to be tomorrow's ball game. Yeah, we'll look a little bit closer to them tomorrow, but just real quick right off the bat, they are 14-2 on the season, 3-0 in league play, their last 3 games. Beaten Georgia 63-51, at Arkansas winning 73-66, and at home beating LSU 77-65. So definitely not one to be taken lightly. Sir Kenneth Pomeroy has them as the 24th best team on his list. Texas A&M, just for reference sake, was 16th on his list. Has Ole Miss as the 31st best offense and the 22nd best defense, playing at 198th in pace this year. So Chris Beard going to bring in a solid defense, and Alabama will have to be ready. Ideally, games at 6 o'clock on Tuesday, right? Let me double check. Yeah, games at 6 o'clock on Tuesday. I get it. That's the tough time for the Birmingham crowd.
Sure.
Oh, we just get off work at 5. It's going to be hard. Make every effort, I think, because every single one of these home games is going to have to be going your way. This isn't going to be one that you're wanting to drop. You're not going to be wanting to walk into Coleman Coliseum with 16 minutes on the clock in the first half and Alabama is down 10-4 because Ole Miss is, gotten out on because there's no momentum in Coleman, because it's taken them to the first media timeout to get. Now, look, parking is a problem, so just plan for it. But I think it's going to be a fun time and a big night in Coleman Coliseum tomorrow evening.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, Chris Beard and Ole Miss, that's a team that certainly kind of, the way they play, they kind of just like to assault you and, play slow game, But I think it'll be a good one for Alabama. It's another tough game that they need to win.
All right, so that's going to be a lot of fun. What do you want to get into, Mason? We got two football topics to get into. We're having a lot of fun in the Derek Daniel State Farm Studios. Call Derek Daniel and his team at 205-758-3391 for all your insurance needs. Call and see how much Derek can save you today. We got not backlash, but a comment from our Friday show, and then I've got a football topic about Tyler Booker. Our Friday show,
I think a very valid comment.
We talked about the Alabama defense. And we talked about how I thought the Alabama defense carried this team this year. And comment from the Twitter machine. Question for the show: do you really feel Alabama's defense will be excellent next year? The run defense was atrocious, ranking near the bottom of the SEC, costing 2 games, Vanderbilt and Oklahoma, and the shot at the championship. There have been no upgrades in the middle so far. The run defense was so bad, we had opponents changing their offensive scheme in a bye week and winning with inferior talent, obviously referencing Oklahoma getting a little split zone quarterback run going.
I think that's Oklahoma kind of had to do that regardless, I think, given their quarterback or their wide receiver situation. Obviously, I'm sure they knew that Alabama struggled to defend the quarterback run and had struggled to defend the run in certain games that year. But I think to say specifically that was the reason Oklahoma did that is maybe leaving a little bit of context out.
Okay, and really look closer at that Oklahoma game. They really only manufactured the one drive. Let's see, Alabama, Oklahoma. They really only manufactured the one drive at the end of the half. There we go. 24. Look, it's like in my search bar already. There we go. That's what I want. And yeah, they had 257 yards on the ground. So pretty daggone brutal right there. But they had nothing in the passing game. So it's like, this is the only way to go. Was the defense that bad, or did Jalen Milroe put their backs against the goal line?
I think this comment, I saw this and it immediately made me go to try to dig through the numbers and kind of try to figure out exactly just what the defense looked like this year. And game by game, 13 games, the total rush yards allowed right under 140, 137.8. So that's not great, obviously, but I don't think that is some the world is on fire. Alabama's defense is soft now. It's horrible. It's awful. That's I think that's serviceable. It's really probably 4 standout performances here. USF, which was inexplicable that you can't let that happen. You give up 200 rushing yards to USF. Now, they did carry the ball 46 times, and it was a bit of a strange game, if I recall correctly. I think, wasn't it raining that day?
USF? That was the year before.
Yeah, okay. Regardless, you can't let that happen. That one, sure.
You said 137. Mm-hmm. That's 49th in the country, by the way. Go ahead.
So you're still top 50.
Continue.
I mean, that's not, again, this is not, I don't think this is end of the world scenario. It's, I think it could still be a whole lot worse. Now, this is not the typical Alabama standard under Nick Saban, where it was nobody rushes for more than 3 yards a carry under us, whatever. Now, but keep in mind, this is the first year of a new defense. It took a while to settle in. I don't think it's time to panic yet. But back to the performances that were so bad. We mentioned USF. Tennessee runs for over 200 yards as well. Again, you can't let that happen. Dylan Sampson's a monster. It was just kind of a bad game for Alabama's defense. Sure, I'll give you that.
They got 3 turnovers in the day.
They did,
and the Alabama offense didn't do anything with it.
Yeah, secondary played well. Offense did not put you in a good position. I think I think that's really
Tennessee couldn't pass for anything in that game, really.
Yeah, the defense or the pass defense held up well in many of these games, if not all of them. But again, Oklahoma puts up 257 yards. Bad performance.
No love in Oklahoma.
And those are really the 3 really atrocious
Vanderbilt,
ones.
did you catch Vanderbilt? Well, how bad was the Vanderbilt rushing?
166.
That's not.
It's not great, But again, just right at 3 yards a carry. It's not that awful.
Yeah, and then you got that fourth and 1 touchdown over the top, like backbreaker.
Yeah, I mean, you get the picks. It's just. Again, the offense did not set you up for success. So
double number penalty. Oh,
I really think it does not look good. Sure, at the end of the season, we're all kind of thinking,
you're one double number penalty from being in the playoffs.
Yeah,
like when that happened, I lost my. Yeah. I went fanboy in the press box, basically going, "What the bleep is this?" It was just like insane. The margins are so thin. Continue.
It's just, I think standing here at the end of the season, it's easy to kind of think, oh, that Oklahoma game was so awful. Oh, that Tennessee game was so horrible. And sure, they were bad, but you also forget the games where, they held Georgia to 80 rushing yards. They held South Carolina to 130. They had some pretty decent performances out there. So I think
do you have them all right there?
I got them all here. LSU 104.
Okay, that's good.
Auburn 98.
Shoot, that's real good.
Michigan only 115 on 51 carries. So it's not all that bad.
Hit me with everyone since the Oklahoma one. You had 257 at Oklahoma. Just rattle them off.
98 Auburn, 115 Michigan.
Okay.
I mean, now Auburn, no, I'll give you Auburn. They only carried the ball 23 times. I remember, you remember specifically, yeah, they forced Peyton Thorne to throw the ball like 40 times.
Good strategy.
You give a little bit of that to Hugh Freeze, I guess. But hey, held him under 100 yards. It is what it is.
All right, so you got these bad performances, 2 or 3 of them.
But you got some good ones out there.
Mixed in. Let's address the second part of it. He says, oh, you haven't beefed up anything in the middle. Yeah. And I wonder what you get with these players coming back for second years in the system. Justin Jefferson. Look, he's not a beefy linebacker. He's more of a speedster kind of guy, shoot the gap kind of a guy. Look up Nakai Hill-Green's height and weight while I do this. You got Deontay Lawson, who's probably not going to be available to you until, early October at the earliest. It would be my guess. You're going to have Caden Jones, who's going to be moving from a freshman to sophomore year, and that dude was big. That dude was bigger than I thought. He was on the show as a high school recruit, and when you got to see him on the field this year, big dude. Now, I wasn't as excited about him as I was Justin Okoronkwo, but I think he's going to be a good player. And then you brought in Nakai Hill-Green to be
6'2", 230.
I mean, banger.
That's not a small fella.
That's a head thumper. So we'll see what he does with all his experience right there in the interior linebacker room. You look up front. Tim Keenan is coming back. That's going to be a grown man. That's a full grown adult now. Tim Keenan. Jordan Renaud came on late. James Smith came on late. I like both those guys coming into their next year. Like LT Overton coming back for his next year. Kelby Collins, what do we have him at? At 6'4", is that right? 6'4", 265, 285, I think is what we said. Like, I think you...
Yep, 6'4", 280.
I think
278.
I think you did... Like, it's not flashy guys.
Sure.
Obviously, Kelby Collins and Nakai Hill-Green that you brought in. But bringing those two fellas in, and getting second years out of some of these guys on the defensive front. I mean, you're losing Damon Payne. Okay, off to Michigan. Good luck. What do you think about this group and the the proverbial strength or beefiness up front? How do you think they compare to the 2024 room that did get pushed around a bit?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be maybe a little bit of a kind of linebacker by committee a bit. I think we'll probably see a lot of guys making up for the production there. But I feel okay about this room. I don't think really, at least at this moment, that any one of them will particularly stand out among the others. But I think as a unit, I think they should, at least on paper, be a pretty stout unit.
And you mix
I think
in
they
all the
check
wolves.
all the boxes.
Yeah, mix the wolves in as well.
Yeah.
Your Quay Rousseau, Yanzi Pierre, Justin Smith. Those fellas are going to be ready to roll as well. You bring back Jamarian Latham. That we didn't even mention him. He's going to be the real grown man in the room because he's older than Tim Keenan is.
Yeah, I think you run down the list of what responsibilities that you need to fill, and I think you hit all of them with these guys. It's just kind of you have to find the right way to get them onto the field in the right situations, I think.
Okay, so let's keep playing this game. 2025 Alabama foosball schedule. Let's just play this game a little bit. You're going to, I mean, it's good. It's a good schedule. It's going to be a lot of fun. You're at Florida State, and Gene Chizik is going to not Gene Chizik, Gus Malzahn, right? New offensive coordinator for Florida State from UCF. Gus Malzahn is going to try to run the football down your throat every which way from Sunday.
Every player he can find, probably.
Yes, absolutely. I got a phone call right there. I cannot take that. You are interrupting the show. Thank you very much. Then we're going to have ULM, whatever. Wisconsin, they're going to try to run the football. Do you still have the rushing tabs over there? What was Wisconsin, 140 something?
149.
Was good.
3.6 a carry.
Yeah, they're going to try to run at you. Georgia's going to try to run at you. Vanderbilt again. Like, you better.
Depending on what Georgia's quarterback situation, they might have to run at you. Who knows?
Shoot, Gunnar Stockton, we're running right down your throat. Gunnar Stockton and them boys. And isn't Etienne coming back? Didn't he say he was coming back?
He might be.
Yeah, I think he is. So then you're at Missouri, whatever, in the running game. I think they're going to get. I think they have a nice balance, but I don't think it's really going to be their focus. Tennessee is coming into Bryant-Denny Stadium. What's a shook Nico Iamaleava going to be doing? Handing the football off to whoever's next to him. At South Carolina, they're going to be trying to run the football at home. LSU, Oklahoma, Eastern Illinois, and then at Auburn. Like, how many of these teams of these 12 are going to have quarterbacks or are going to have passing offenses that are really going to be elite or threaten you? My point is, I think you're going to have to stop the run at a really high level next year. Look at this. Nico Iamaleava, you got Lenora Sellers, you got Garrett Nussmeier. That's who you're working with. Passing the football against you next year. Unless Georgia and Missouri have somebody I'm not really thinking of. Vanderbilt, are you getting Diego Pavia back? Well,
Auburn paid all that money for, Jackson Arnold. He's going to know how to pass now.
Ooh, Jackson. You're right. Jackson Arnold. I think
how that works, right?
I think Jackson Arnold's going to be a perfect quarterback for him. Yeah, he's going to just run the daylights off of him, run the wheels off of him.
You pay all that money, and it's like, oh yeah, he's really good. Come on.
You beat Alabama, Auburn's going to pay you a bunch of money.
One-way ticket, buddy.
I'm not sure that you're seeing a whole lot of passing offenses though. That you're like, not as I don't really even think that Lenora Sellers is an elite passer, but he's an experienced quarterback, and he'll be playing at home that night. Or that day, obviously.
Nussmeier is probably your
Nussmeier, definitely.
one.
But Nussmeier's coming into Bryant-Denny Stadium. Nico Iamaleava coming into Bryant-Denny Stadium. I'm not really, looking right now, I'm not really threatened by any of these guys passing the football. You're going to have Michael Hawkins, the Oklahoma quarterback, right? Wasn't that the backup's name? Who's going to be probably coming in here? Diego Pavia. Your home schedule is good, but can you go on the road and stop the run? Because that's it. At Florida State, at Georgia, At South Carolina. Can you go on the road and stop the run? At Auburn. That's gonna be fun. I think I think the commenter brings up an interesting. I think we'll find out pretty quickly with this Florida State game right off the bat.
Is Hugh Freeze going to learn his lesson from last year's game about running the ball against Alabama? Is he going to try harder this time, or is he going to force his very comfortable with running the ball quarterback to throw the ball a lot?
Hugh Freeze,
so he can have his stamp on the game if they win. I think that's what it's about.
It's his stamp if they win, no matter what. So just do it. Do whatever. I mean, last year to ask Peyton Thorne to do that was silly. I think when we get here to what was that, week 12 plus 2 is 14. I guess 15 if you consider week 0. When you get to week 14, 15 next year, I think the Auburn offense will look pretty competent with the weapons that they are, the freshman weapons that are going to be sophomores, and Jackson Arnold as well. I think Jackson Arnold is going to be a pretty good little fit for them if Hugh Freeze caters his offense to him. Okay,
Deuce Knight wins the job.
Deuce Knight, baby. If you're paying Carson Beck $4 million to go to Miami, what do you think Auburn had to pay Deuce Knight to go there?
Man, oh man, I don't even.
I've no.
That quarterback. I mean, Jackson Arnold, Deuce Knight, and I can't remember his name. Ashton something from Stanford, I think is his name.
Stamps.
Maybe I might be totally wrong on Ashton, honestly, but it's from Stanford. But, I doubt they paid him, Deuce Knight money, but for one room, I'm sure that's eating up a large chunk of that NIL collective. A big chunk of one donor's wallet.
Yellowwood. Ashton Daniels.
I wasn't.
You didn't make that up. You didn't make it up. All right. Well, last thing for me, Mason Woods, on a Monday. Unless you got other things on the table, we're welcome to it. You guys can jump in on the comment section at Joe Gaither 6 or at BamaCentral on the YouTube comments, and we will respond to whatever you got for us. Last thing for me is, as a Chicago Bears fan, we don't care about, this past weekend, playoff weekend. We have moved on to draft season, mock draft season. And that leads me into something I'm seeing lately. In a lot of my Chicago Bears friends mock drafts is Tyler Booker, which I do love. But they're getting him mocked in the second and third round. And so I'm going on to some of these my other draft simulators, people who are doing drafts. This one right here from 24/7 Sports, Brad Crawford 5 hours ago. And then another one, CBS. This one is CBS Sports. This is who? This is Mike Renner 9 hours ago. Neither of them have Tyler Booker in their first rounds. I used, which one of these simulators did I use? Oh, I closed it out already, but I used some of these simulators, and Tyler Booker was ending up in the 38, ending up in the 42s, ending up in the 40s, in those rounds, in those numbers, which would be the second round.
Now,
and I'm like, did I miss it? I mean, obviously positional value, we're a guard. Go ahead.
With that, what guard was he off the board? Was he still the first guard off the board, second, third? Because, I mean, that could just be kind of chalk it up to, like you said, positional value with the way the NFL views guards right now. It's not exactly the way it used to be. Now, I still think there is a lot of value in a first-round guard depending on just who the player is. And in my opinion, I think Tyler Booker has shown more often than not in his time at Alabama that he is that kind of player, that he's, a first round caliber talent at the guard position, whether you want to play him at right or left. But with just the premium on wide receivers, the premium on tackles, the premium on edge rushers, cornerbacks, quarterbacks, basically every position that's not interior offensive line, it's kind of hard for those guys to separate themselves as first rounders. They kind of just get lumped into the pack, and then it just you cycle through the big flashy skill players that are all exciting, like wear their tight, bright colored suits on draft night, and then day 2 and 3, the real ball knowers get in and cycle through the big boys.
All right, you asked a good question. You got 3 interior offensive linemen on this CBS mock, and you have just 1 on this 24/7 Sports mock. So I do think there's some positional value going on. But I think, is it just that Alabama had a bad year? Was Tyler Booker's tape not as dominant as what we thought it was? Or I mean, obviously you gave up how many sacks, Alabama? Tons and tons this year, like 50 something. Let's see, I can find it right here because I've got the NCAA page up. Total sacks allowed, sacks allowed right there. Alabama gave up. Oh, we want to go opposite. Alabama gave up their past 48, the second page, right there, 61st in sacks allowed. They gave up 24 sacks on the season. 61st. Best offensive line, just according to sacks allowed. Of course, you got Jalen Milroe problems and the like. I would be surprised to see Tyler Booker make it to the second round. Am I just being a homer?
Yeah, I don't know. I do think it kind of is one of those things where just like the positional value a bit may just keep pushing him down the board because I don't, like you said, I don't think it's a super heavy class on the interior offensive lineman. So I think there's a lot of wide receivers that people are excited about. I think there's a lot of other skill positions that people are excited about. Obviously, quarterbacks shoot up the board throughout draft season. From here until April, every single year, we'll see probably 1 or 2 guys hit the combine, and everybody will fall in love with them. And now we have 4 quarterbacks that are going to be taken in the top 15 picks. Whatever, half of them will be awful, maybe all of them. Who knows? It's just kind of gonna be the way the cookie crumbles, I think, unfortunately. I think he probably slots into I don't know exactly the way the draft order is gonna look, but yeah, I mean, I could see him kind of getting picked right there, kind of the top end of the second, maybe, going into the not middle of the second, but kind of that like 40 range.
Sure. On these 2 most recent mock drafts that I'm looking at, you only have 1 Alabama player. Jahad Campbell is projected at 20.
Cowboy? Oh, no, at 20.
For both places to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Oh, okay, that'd be pretty good. Levante David replacement.
So 1 first rounder. So you have 1 first round draft pick. If you had 1 first round draft pick, is 9-4 really that much of a disappointment? And when's the last time Alabama only had 1 first round draft pick? Hold on, I can find that out quickly. But answer my question. Because I'll find that out as you answer. If you only had 1 first round draft pick, and it's your redshirt sophomore, whatever he is, redshirt junior, Jahad Campbell, redshirt sophomore,
I've got to pick an Alabama boy. I've got one.
Is 9-4 that much of a disappointment?
I mean, I don't think really a lot of people in the NFL care all that much about that record, to be honest. I think that's, that's more of a media thing, probably. I'm sure, for they're probably looking at those defensive performances against Oklahoma for Campbell against Wisconsin, like we mentioned, which was a little ugly, against Vanderbilt, which is a little bit ugly. Those ones. They're looking at those, and those are probably what's a little more upsetting than Alabama lost 4 games for the first time ever. That's entirely John Campbell's fault. Like, I don't think
No. I'm just asking if your talent level on the Crimson Tide roster this year was only at the level to produce a singular first round draft pick. It was 9-4. That disappointing.
Okay, I'm with you now.
I've got the answer. The last time Alabama had a single first round draft pick.
Was it? The first year Saban was there?
No, it was 2016.
Oh, really?
Ryan Kelly was drafted number 18 overall to the Indianapolis Colts. Now, other Alabama players drafted in that, y'all stink, NFL. Reggie Ragland, who had an Derrick Henry was a second-round pick. Ashawn Robinson, second-round pick. Jaron Reed, second-round pick. Cyrus Jones, second-round pick. And Kenyon Drake, third-round pick. A couple of those guys had some pretty good NFL careers. But that's coming off of what? The 2015 national championship into the 16 spring draft.
Game changer for the Titans, that pick.
Absolutely. Then the year earlier, the 2014 season where you lost to Ohio State in the, what was that, Sugar Bowl, Ezekiel Elliott ran all over you. You only had one singular first-round draft pick for that 15 season. Do you know who it was? Come on. The superstar from that 14 team, not Blake Sims, but he's throwing to
Amari Cooper.
There you go. Amari Cooper becomes your singular.
Raider? Was he a Raider?
Raiders, fourth overall. And then in that draft, you also had Landon Collins, second-round pick, TJ Yeldon, second-round pick, Jalston Fowler, fourth-round pick.
I love when he was on the Titans. They didn't use him right.
Ari Kwanjo, fourth-round pick. Austin Shepard and Xavier Dixon were seventh-round picks. So it's been a while since you've only had a single first-round pick.
I think it's worth noting for the NFL that at least according to PFF, Tyler Booker did allow 0 sacks this season. Only 10 pressures and almost 400 pass blocking attempts.
So maybe some of these maybe it's just too early for this stuff.
I think that, and I think some people react a little bit to that 9-4 and want to get a flashy thing and say Alabama with only one person in the first round. Because that's abnormal. Obviously, under Nick Saban, that was not something that we saw frequently. I think, as we get closer, these players will continue to separate themselves. We still have pro days to get to. We still have things.
Senior Bowl.
Yep. Still have.
Somebody's going to fall in love with Tyler Booker at the Senior Bowl if he goes. Is he on the Senior Bowl list? Let me find out.
Maybe.
I can find out.
I feel like I remember seeing that he was, but I could just be making that up entirely. But yeah, you have Senior Bowl, Combine. You got all kind of things. So these guys still have plenty of opportunities to separate themselves. Plenty of opportunities to.
No. He right now the confirmed roster for the Senior Bowl: Malachi Moore, James Burnham, C.J. Dupree, and Jalen Milroe.
It's disappointing. Maybe
obviously he's not a senior, but I think they've amended
some
of those rules.
He graduated or what? I think as long as he's a graduate, he can go, right?
Yeah, I think they've amended some of those rules in the last couple of years.
Man, who knows? I don't know if he still has time to decide or not.
But it's at the end of the month, start of next month, I think.
Yeah, so I doubt it. But he may. If these mock drafts are true, he may be missing out on a good opportunity there. Who knows? I still think, given the combine, given the pro day, he still has good opportunities, though. Because now we'll see what the pro day looks like without Nick Saban there. Who knows how many people are going to be in attendance? I don't know if.
I'm sure you're still going to get all 32 teams.
I would think so, but you never know.
They're going to say, "Oh, we don't need to look at Jalen Milroe. We don't need to look at Jihad Campbell."
Who's the Patriots representative? It can't be Nick and Bill meeting back up.
Yeah, Vrabel. Vrabel got hired.
Is he going to be there though? He wasn't there. He wasn't there when he was the Titans coach.
That might have been a mistake. Might have been the reason he got fired.
I think there was other things that got him fired, like maybe bad ownership. Sell the team, Amy, please.
Would you have liked to have just wrote it out with Vrabel?
Yes, I would have
gotten the cycle back through.
Mm-hmm. Because I think they. This is so off topic.
So it's fine. Keep going.
They hired Rand Carthon without. That was not like Vrabel didn't ever want that. And sure, the head coach isn't making GM decisions. I understand the owner makes those decisions, but it seems just like a really bad idea to go out of your way to hire someone that the coach outright was like, I don't want you to hire that guy. I don't think he's ready for the job. That seems like a weird decision. They had a guy that had spent a lot of time with Vrabel as a scout doing the things that now they are asking of the GM that they're searching for. It's just a disaster all around. So, yeah, I think they let a very good coach get away. And, that being said, I do think he was probably always destined to wind up in New England, unfortunately. So he's back home now. Yeah,
apparently in his Bears interview, he said, really enjoying this interview or something to that extent, but if New England offers me the job, I'm taking their job.
I believe that.
And
him and old Bobby Kraft reuniting.
reunited, and it feels so good.
They play the Titans next year in Tennessee, I'm pretty sure, and he is going to go do everything in his power to absolutely stomp them into the dirt.
All right, you got anything else for us? We got Monday Night Raw tonight on Netflix. I think that if you are carrying over from last week to this week, it will look more traditional, look like a more traditional episode of wrestling if you're into that. But I don't have anything else from the Alabama perspective. I don't have any other just random things on the table for me.
I don't believe so. Ravens, Derrick Henry, big game, advancing the playoffs.
Oh
beat
my
Steelers.
gosh, he stole Minka Fitzpatrick's soul.
Did you see what he said?
Yeah, he said, "Oh, it's my boy, but it's just business on the field."
Business. Oh man, I'm just watching it again now on Twitter. He did, man.
I guess you got Monday Night Football tonight. Rams are who are they? They're playing in the playoffs against who?
Oh man, who is it? I can't even think.
Hold on, I've got it. I can figure it right here, I guess.
How about the commies getting a win last night? That was good. Jaden Daniels, rookie of the year, maybe. Does that hurt to watch Jaden Daniels win?
No.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
No, we're perfectly happy with what we have. Why would we be jealous? Why would we be looking over on another man's fence? Rams and Vikings.
That's right. That's
Well,
right.
why would we be looking into another man's backyard?
Is this Sam Darnold, returns back to the Sam Darnold that we've seen game, or does this seventh-year bump continue?
Well, I just hope that
this game is like gonna make or lose him a ton of money.
Well, I hope the Rams win just because I'm anti-Vikings. But hey, Chris Walsh, big Vikings guy, so that'll make him happy.
Wow, yeah.
That'll make him happy. So he'll be on the edge tonight.
Well, I don't know. Long term, maybe he wants them to lose. So they don't have to pay Sam Darnold like $40 million next year.
Shoot, I would pay him. I'd just pay him and trade McCarthy, or just hold McCarthy as a backup until he's ready. Just like whatever. Like it turned out to be just people could misfortune. Good luck, honestly. You can say it's misfortune, but it's just like you lucked into a good system, and maybe you can say, oh, he's dependent on Kevin O'Connell, right? That's their coach, Kevin O'Connell.
If you keep him there, it keeps working.
Right. Like you've got the most important position in the sport at least nailed down for this year. It looks like maybe a good marriage, good partnership. I mean, it's all about circumstances and partnerships, and that looks like it's working, obviously. I would keep that going. I wouldn't turn it over to JJ just for the sake of it, unless he is just really, really dominating in practice and just like, hey, we can't keep this guy off the field. I know he was hurt at the beginning, and so I'm not sure if he's even.
I think really what every bit of hype stems from is like some training camp clips, and then he looked pretty decent in a couple preseason games, and everybody was like, oh, "Watch out!" That was before Sam Darnold, turned into one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL this season. We expected to see Jets Sam Darnold, Panthers Sam Darnold, Niners Sam Darnold. I can't even remember who else he played for.
I think at this point you just keep dancing with him, keep riding with him.
I think so too.
He's surely not going to command like that top end quarterback value, so you can get him back for several years at somewhat not a discount, but like not the highest dollar amount in the world.
Sure. Some team will pay him way too much, though, if he hits the free agency market. I think the Vikings.
Goodness, it won't be my team.
The Vikings absolutely should not let him hit free agency.
No.
Lock him up before he gets to talk to anybody else and hear that 35, 38, $40 million a year offer.
No, I think the Vikings will probably end up paying him 48.
What are we looking at?
Because Tua was 53.
Well,
Tua was 53. Jordan Love is like 52, 51.
Kyler Murray, 46.
Yeah, I think he's going to end up getting somewhere around that 50 number.
Josh Allen's making 43.
And
Stafford, 40.
I think he's going to end up probably somewhere around that 50
seems
number.
Fair. Man, is that too much money? You just ride it out with the rookie.
It's insane. It's insane how much these guys are what they're doing for a buck.
I think that's about all I got today.
Yep, me too. All right, we're done. We're going to talk to you tomorrow. We'll dive deeper into Alabama Ole Miss basketball. We'll find some more topics to talk about in the sports world. We're 7 days away from a national championship. Does the Fighting Irish have a chance against the Ole Ohio State $20 million roster. We'll talk about that as well as the week progresses. We invite you guys to jump in anytime and always at Joe Gaither 6 on your favorite social media machine, or right there in the podcast comment section or in the YouTube comment section at Joe Gaither 6. We appreciate Derek Daniel for sponsoring the program. We appreciate Derek Daniel for hosting the program right here in the Derek Daniel State Farm Studios. Call Derek and his team, 205-758-3391 for all of your insurance needs. Call and see how much Derek can save you today, and we'll talk to you tomorrow right here on the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central and BamaCentral.com.